often wonder what our future will look like and how we as a species can thrive in an ever-changing world. So 18 months ago, like any sane person would do, I sold everything that I owned and embarked on a global quest in the search of answers. I spent time living in countries across 4 continents, met some truly remarkable people, had times where I really felt like I belonged in this world, and others where I've never felt more alone. A few days before I left Australia on my way to South America, I was playing with my 3-year-old nephew on the trampoline. He was the king of the jungle, and I was his lunch. He must have been really hungry that day because we repeated that game more than 20 times without a break. He then said to me, "Uncle Cam, can I come to the jungle with you?" With wonder in his eyes, he both melted and broke my heart at the same time because I knew we couldn't do that together just yet. But as I traveled, I loved sharing with him the weird and wonderful animals that live in different parts of the world through the use of video and a simple internet connection. Using a drone and social media, I was able to show more than 1 million people across the globe the true beauty of our amazing planet. And none of that would have been possible if it weren't for recent advances in technology. But with all these possibilities now at our fingertips, early studies are showing that digital technology, including social media, is fueling a new wave of behavioral challenges. Depression and anxiety, narcissism, lower levels of empathy. We're living in a time where we're more connected than ever before. So why are so many of us feeling more disconnected? Weren't these tools meant to make our lives easier and bridge the gaps between us? Could it be then that there is something deeper going on here that we haven't yet looked at or solved? I was curious to find out. Now, I've been writing music for more than 17 years, so before I left, I thought to myself, I wonder if there are places around the world that I could stay in that have a grand piano in them. Turns out there was. I didn't know back then, but these 2 seemingly innocent words, I wonder, would take me on a journey to magical places over the next 18 months. After spending some time living in the Colombian rainforest, I moved to an apartment in Argentina that had a grand piano in it. I had felt a yearning to be at this piano, like something was wanting to be expressed, to be written through me. It was both a magical and a challenging time because after writing some new music, I found myself asking, I wonder why I'm really here. A powerful question soon followed. If this all ended today, what's the one thing that I would regret not doing? Immediately I thought to myself, having a grand piano on stage while delivering a talk. I consciously guided my curiosity around this, then used technology to speed up the process. Just 3 months later, I found myself in Burlington, Canada, in front of 700 people doing just that, delivering a talk and showcasing footage of mine from around the world as I played on a beautiful grand piano. What I've realized is that curiosity is the gateway to creativity and innovation. In technology is a magnifier. But here's the challenge that we're facing right now. In a study by the University of Virginia and Harvard University, participants were left alone in a lab room for 15 minutes. They could choose to push a button and shock themselves if they wanted to, or sit in silence. And although all participants had previously said they would pay money to avoid being shocked with electricity, 67% of men and 25% of women chose to shock themselves rather than just sit there quietly and think. What this suggests is that if we're not comfortable with our own thoughts, we will use just about anything from the external environment to fill that space, even if it's painful. If we use technology, social media, and other external stimuli to fill an internal void, when are we ever giving ourselves the space to create and truly connect with who we really are? You see, for something to be created, there needs to be space for it to be created into. I've understood this concept for a while now because when I try to write a new song, I am really bad at it. But when I give myself the space and allow that music to be written through me, somehow magic happens. I decided to create that space in some other areas to see what would happen. I removed all the notifications from my phone, created times that were free of technology to give myself the space to think, consciously guided my curiosity, and then used technology to magnify the positivity I was spreading around the world. I received well over 1 million organic views from the videos alone from this journey, but more importantly, I felt in control of the technology I was using, rather than it controlling me and filling up the very space that could have been used to create instead. Technology, then, is not the core problem here. It's simply magnifying it. That if unconsciously we believe we're not enough, we will try to fill that void with external sources, but the pleasure is short-lived, while the long-term pain gets magnified. We need validation, eat too much, buy things we don't want or need, and hold on to dysfunctional relationships. On the other hand, if we develop a healthy sense of self and learn how to nurture our curiosity, technology and other external sources will magnify that instead. It seemed like I was onto something here, but I wanted to test this out again, this time on a grander scale. I wanted to show firsthand that sure, technology can magnify the problems we're facing, but it can also magnify the difference we make in this world. With this newly created space for my curiosity, I wondered what else could be possible. I came up with some pretty crazy ideas, even dreamt of having a grand piano out in the wild. Just 1 month later, though, that happened. I also wondered if I could take this to another level and have a grand piano on a larger stage. Somehow have people involved from around the world to help spread this simple idea. Well, here I am on this stage, and there's a grand piano. Once again, what started out as an idea, born out of curiosity, magnified into something truly magical through the power of technology. Over the past 4 months, I've worked with over 80 strangers from 40 countries around the world, from Jordan to Macedonia, Uganda to Japan. Every relationship has been built through digital technology. We've never met in person, and before this project, we never knew each other even existed. Well, for the first time ever publicly, this is our creation.
While there's still time, there's
80 strangers, 40 countries, one message. There is still time. What I believe more than ever is that people really do want to be a part of something meaningful, part of something greater than themselves. We have the opportunity to do that in ways that until recently simply would not have been possible. If a group of strangers from around the world can come together and create something remarkable like this in just 4 months, imagine what the billions of us could do when we come together and consciously create our future. This is the power that technology has to speed up and magnify our creativity, our innovation, our impact. That starts with curiosity. You see the song you just heard? I actually wrote living in the first week in that apartment in Argentina that had the grand piano in it. I now look at the events leading up to and following that experience and realize that none of this would have come to fruition if it weren't for those two initial, seemingly innocent words, I wonder. You see, curiosity takes us into the unknown. And what you find is that you can end up somewhere so different to where you thought you would be, and yet in a place that is much more magical than you could have ever dreamed of. Curiosity about what's possible, unlocking and magnifying our creative potential. These are the types of skills we must be teaching in our schools and our workplaces to avoid becoming redundant in an ever-changing world. The good news is, you don't have to travel the world to learn this. It's available for you right now. Remember, for something to be created, there needs to be space for it to be created into. Create that space. Guide your curiosity. Then use technology to magnify your impact. Magic happens when you do.